the show.
Yes, I did.
Yes, I did.
Let's say hello on the couch. Come up here.
Oh, bless you. You're fired. Yeah. You're the worst salesman ever.
For more than 2 decades, Graham Norton has been the man who could make the world's biggest stars laugh, even when they didn't want to. He's the master of charm, the king of timing, and the one host who could turn an awkward silence into a golden moment of television. His red couch has seen it all. The confessions, the chaos, the tears and the laughter that defined an entire generation of talk shows. From Meryl Streep's grace to Tom Cruise's wild stunts, from Madonna's teasing smiles to Robin Williams' unstoppable energy, his stage became the place where Hollywood came to be human again. But behind the laughter, there were moments that made even Graham Norton lose his patience, moments that never made it to the highlight reels, nights when the camera stopped rolling and the charm turned into quiet frustration. Because not every guest was a dream. Some were disastrous. He's too polite to name names on air, but time has softened the edges and stories have begun to slip through. Stories about the nights that tested his wit, his patience, and his ability to keep smiling no matter what. And now, for the first time, we revisit the 6 most unforgettable and unbearable guests who made even Graham Norton wish he could walk off his own stage. They weren't villains on screen, but they played that part perfectly in real life. Some came drunk, some refused to speak, some forgot that charm is not a one-way conversation. They say laughter can heal everything, Graham once joked, but after these 6, I needed more than laughter. I needed therapy. The stories you're about to hear are not rumors. They're real moments, captured under studio lights, witnessed by cameras, crew, and millions who sensed that something was off. From movie icons to method actors, from charmers who turned cold to legends who refused to play along, these are the guests who turned the Graham Norton Show into something far less glamorous. So sit back, because what you'll hear next may change the way you see your favorite Hollywood stars forever. Don't blink, don't scroll away. This is where the laughter ends and the truth begins.
If these memories bring a smile to your heart, give this video a like, share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe. Let's keep these timeless stories alive, together. Some guests lift a show. Some guests slow it. Mickey Rourke stopped it. From the moment he settled on the red couch, Graham knew this one would be hard work. The audience was warm, the stage was ready, but the conversation wasn't. Questions landed, answers didn't. Short replies, long pauses. A rhythm built for comedy suddenly had no music. Graham tried every gentle trick he's famous for. A softer question, a shared memory, a pivot to the crowd. Nothing bit, nothing flowed. The laugh line that usually arrives on cue didn't. You could feel the room lean forward, waiting for a spark that never came. It wasn't disrespect. It wasn't a fight. It was distance, the kind you can't bridge with charm. Graham moved the spotlight to the other guests, then looped back, offering fresh openings, career turns, craft, second acts. The answers stayed small, the tension stayed large. For a host who can spin silence into gold, this was the rare night when silence stayed silence. 8 minutes on television can feel like a heartbeat. Tonight, it felt like an hour. When the segment wrapped, the applause was kind but careful, the sound an audience makes when they want to help. Graham smiled, thanked everyone, and steered the show forward, the way only a professional can. Years later, fans still talk about it as the quiet one. Not the wild meltdown, not the scandal, just the night when a legend of the movies sat down and took the air out of the room. And that's the truth of live television. Not every story has fireworks. Some are lessons in patience, grace, and the limits of even the best host's magic. If this was the quiet storm, the next guest brought thunder.
If Mickey Rourke brought silence to the studio, Mark Wahlberg brought chaos.
It was supposed to be one of those fun, relaxed nights, full of banter, drinks, and laughter. Instead, it became one of the most talked about moments in Graham Norton's entire career. Mark arrived with that same Boston bravado that made him a star. Confident, loud, and already a few drinks in. He wasn't angry, just loose, the kind of loose that turns interviews into unpredictable adventures. The other guests that night, Sarah Silverman, Michael Fassbender, and Graham Norton himself, didn't know they were about to share a couch with a hurricane. At first, it was funny. Mark joked, leaned forward, teased the other guests, and interrupted like an overexcited kid. But as the minutes rolled on, something shifted. He started talking over Sarah, cutting in before she could finish her punchlines. Then he slid down on the couch, literally, his body half on Graham's lap, half on the cushions. The audience laughed nervously. Graham smiled through it, as he always does, trying to keep the energy playful. "Mark, it's your show now," Graham quipped, his tone still cheerful. "Damn right," he shot back, pointing at him like they were in a buddy comedy. It was wild television, spontaneous, loud, unforgettable, and totally out of control. Mark hugged Graham from the side, whispering jokes the mic didn't catch. Then, in one of the most infamous moments of the series, he climbed higher on the couch, straddling Graham's shoulders like a playful prank gone too far. The crowd gasped, then laughed, unsure whether to feel shocked or amused. Graham, ever the professional, kept calm, laughing but gently pushing him back down. "You'll need a shower after this," Sarah Silverman joked, trying to break the tension. Mark eventually slid back into his seat, grinning like a man who knew he'd just made late-night history. And he had, though not in the way he thought. By the next morning, social media exploded. Clips of the moment went viral worldwide. Mark Wahlberg climbs on Graham Norton. Some viewers loved it, calling it hilarious and unfiltered. Others called it disrespectful, embarrassing, even uncomfortable to watch. Graham never condemned him. He laughed it off in later interviews, saying, "That's live TV for you. Sometimes you just have to hold on and hope for the best." Years later, fans still debate it. Was it funny? Was it inappropriate? Or was it simply a moment when television forgot to behave and reminded everyone why live shows are still magic? Because for one unforgettable night, Mark Wahlberg didn't just sit on the red couch. He took over the red couch. And Graham Norton, calm, gracious, unshakable, proved again that not even chaos could crack his composure.
There are guests who light up the red couch. And then there was Robert De Niro. He's one of the greatest actors alive, the man whose eyes alone can say more than a page of dialogue. But that gift, that quiet intensity that made him magnetic on screen, didn't translate to the chaos of a talk show. From the moment he sat down, Graham Norton could sense it, the distance. Not arrogance, not rudeness, just distance. The kind of wall that even the friendliest host couldn't climb. De Niro spoke softly, almost reluctantly, answering questions with words so short they left no room for follow-up. It wasn't anger, it was just Robert De Niro being Robert De Niro, careful, guarded, and not particularly interested in small talk. Graham tried to find a rhythm, to build something. "You've worked with Scorsese more than anyone," he said. "Do you two ever disagree?" "Sometimes." "And when you do?" He wins. The crowd laughed, briefly, but even laughter couldn't fill the space that followed. The other guests looked on politely, smiling, waiting for De Niro to open up. He didn't. He sat still, hands folded, face unreadable, as if he were auditioning for a role called The Man Who Doesn't Want to Be Here. Graham, a master of warmth, tried everything. He shared stories, he teased. He even shifted topics to De Niro's restaurants, his love of New York. Each reply came back like an echo in an empty hall. "You love New York?" "Yeah." "What's your favorite part?" "All of it." It was, by all accounts, a perfect De Niro performance.
subtle, stoic, and completely out of place on a comedy show. The crew later said you could feel the air thicken. It wasn't uncomfortable, it was surreal. Like watching an Oscar-winning statue trying to have a conversation. And yet, Graham never broke character. He kept smiling, never mocking, never pushing too hard. He simply let De Niro be De Niro. The mystery everyone admired, but few ever understood. When the episode aired, reactions were mixed. Some fans were thrilled just to see De Niro in a lighter setting, even if he barely spoke. Others called it one of the most awkward, yet fascinating interviews in British television. Later, when asked about it, Graham laughed gently and said he was polite, kind, and absolutely terrified of being funny. That was De Niro, a man whose brilliance lives in silence. And on that night, he reminded everyone that not every legend needs to perform. Sometimes, simply showing up is enough.
Every great talk show has its serious moments, the quiet pauses that remind you not everything is a joke. But that night, the seriousness didn't come from the topic. It came from Kevin Costner himself. He's Hollywood royalty, an Oscar-winning director, an actor with presence, dignity, and that old-school gravitas few stars still carry. And maybe that's exactly why the evening turned so strange. From the first few minutes, Graham sensed it. This wasn't going to be a playful ride. Kevin wasn't unkind, he wasn't rude, he was just taking it all too seriously. Where other guests laughed at themselves, Costner seemed to treat every question like a press conference. When Graham teased him about Bodyguard or Dances with Wolves, the audience chuckled. Kevin didn't. "That film took years of my life," he said quietly, "and it means more to me than a punchline." The crowd went silent, not out of shock, but confusion. Even Graham hesitated for a beat, unsure whether to move on or dig deeper. He tried to lighten the tone, pivoting to Costner's charm and how fans still call him the ultimate gentleman. Kevin nodded slowly. "I tried to be, but I don't do this job to be liked. I do it to tell stories." There it was, the heart of the problem. While Graham's show thrived on spontaneity and warmth, Kevin Costner brought the stillness of a movie set. He wasn't performing for laughs, he was defending his craft. As the night went on, Graham's usual rhythm, joke, reaction, laughter, began to fracture. Each playful question bounced off Kevin's wall of seriousness. It wasn't hostility, but there was no rhythm left to catch. The audience sensed it too. Some smiled politely, others shifted in their seats. The air felt heavier than usual, like the laughter had somewhere else to be. Still, Graham stayed graceful. He asked about Field of Dreams, Yellowstone, and the way Costner always played men of honor. For a brief moment, Kevin softened. He spoke about storytelling, about how film should outlive its maker. It was honest, beautiful even. But when Graham turned that honesty into light banter, joking that Costner had aged like fine whiskey, the moment dissolved. Kevin chuckled once, then pulled the room back into stillness. When the segment ended, Graham thanked him warmly. The applause was polite, respectful, but subdued. As Kevin walked off stage, one of the crew whispered, "He was the only guest who made laughter feel inappropriate." Later, in an interview, Graham recounted it with admiration rather than frustration. "He's extraordinary, but he doesn't do small talk. When Kevin speaks, you listen, you don't laugh." It wasn't a disaster. It wasn't awkward. It was solemn. A night when the red couch turned into a confessional, and the man who brought emotion to millions reminded everyone that for him, cinema isn't entertainment, it's truth.
Before his name became a headline, Harvey Weinstein was just another powerful figure in Hollywood, the kind of man who could turn a small film into an Oscar legend. When he appeared on the Graham Norton Show, he wasn't the subject of scandal. He was the guest everyone had to invite. At that time, Graham treated him like he would any producer, politely, professionally, with curiosity. But from the moment the cameras rolled, there was something different about the air in the room. Weinstein didn't walk in with charm. He walked in with control. The way he sat, the way he spoke, it wasn't conversation. It was dominance. Other guests shared the couch, trying to laugh, trying to match the tone, but Harvey spoke over them, interrupted, redirected every moment back to himself. It wasn't loud. It was louder than loud. The kind of presence that fills space and leaves no oxygen behind. When Graham asked a lighthearted question about filmmaking, Harvey turned it into a lecture. "Movies aren't jokes," he said. "They're business. They're power." The audience chuckled, thinking it was bravado. Graham smiled politely, as he always did, but something in his eyes shifted. Even then, before the world knew the rest of the story, you could feel the imbalance, the sense that the man on that couch wasn't there to share, but to command. The segment ended without incident. No argument, no awkward laugh, just that lingering discomfort that no one could quite explain. Later backstage, one crew member quietly said, "He didn't seem like a guest. He seemed like a boss." And that was exactly the problem. Years later, when the truth about Harvey Weinstein finally surfaced, when the stories broke and the industry trembled, people look back at that old episode differently. Clips resurfaced online. Fans rewatched them and said, "You could see it. You could feel it even then." The arrogance, the entitlement, the casual disregard for everyone else on the stage. It had all been there, hiding in plain sight. Graham never commented harshly. He never needed to. He once said quietly, when asked about that night, "Let's just say, not all power is worth admiring." And in that one sentence, he summed up what millions would come to understand, that the same force that can build legends can also destroy them. That night, the Red Couch didn't host a movie mogul. It hosted a warning, one that only made sense years later. By now, Graham Norton had seen it all. The talkative, the awkward, the chaotic, the unpredictable. But nothing quite prepared him for Daryl Hannah. Hollywood remembered her as the ethereal beauty of Splash, the mysterious rebel of Blade Runner, the silent storm in Kill Bill. She was elegance wrapped in mystery, the kind of guest everyone expected would bring warmth and nostalgia to the Red Couch. But when she appeared on the Graham Norton Show, something felt off. From the first minute, her energy was quiet, not shy, but distant, as if she were somewhere else entirely. Graham began with his usual charm. "It's so lovely to finally have you here, Daryl. We've been trying for years." She smiled politely. "Yeah, I don't really do shows." The audience laughed, lightly, hesitantly, but Daryl didn't laugh back. She sat perfectly still, her posture calm but unreadable. Graham pressed on gently. He asked about her early career, working with Tom Hanks, Ridley Scott, and Quentin Tarantino. Each time her answers were short, not rude, just hollow. "You must have amazing memories from Splash, right?" It was wet. The crowd chuckled. Graham laughed with them, hoping she'd join in. She didn't. There were long pauses, the kind that only live television can stretch into eternity. Graham tried pivoting to lighter ground, his activism, his love for nature, his quiet life away from Hollywood. He nodded, gave a few simple replies, and fell silent again. No sparks, no rhythm, no real connection. It was like trying to interview a reflection, something visible but just out of reach. Still, Graham never made her feel cornered. He filled the gaps with humor, softened the tension with grace, and let her be who she was. Because perhaps that was the truth of Daryl Hannah. a woman who didn't need the spotlight to prove she mattered. When the show ended, the applause came softer than usual. Not uncomfortable, just respectful. The audience seemed to understand that some people shine brightest when they're quiet. Later, when asked about that interview, Graham said gently, "She was kind, just not comfortable. Not everyone enjoys being watched." And that was that. No scandal, no drama, no disaster. Just a woman who had given the world decades of unforgettable roles and finally decided she didn't owe it anything more.
When you've spent decades making people laugh, you learn that laughter isn't always easy, and people aren't always kind. For Graham Norton, those 6 nights weren't failures. They were lessons about ego, fame, humanity, and the strange power of silence. Mickey Rourke taught him that not every silence is empty. Sometimes it's a man protecting the last piece of himself that Hollywood didn't take. Mark Wahlberg showed him that chaos, when unchecked, can blur the line between comedy and discomfort, and that a good host must hold his ground even when laughter turns wild.
No, I like
Robert
to
De
give,
Niro
advice when
reminded him
people
that
ask.
greatness often hides behind restraint. Some legends don't need to perform. They already have. Kevin Costner revealed the cost of passion, that art, when taken seriously, can make joy feel like a distraction. Harvey Weinstein, long before the world knew, left behind a feeling, a warning that not all power deserves applause. And Daryl Hannah proved that peace doesn't need an audience, that sometimes walking away from fame is its own kind of victory. Through them all, Graham Norton never lost what made him beloved: the grace to stay kind, the humor to survive the awkward, and the understanding that every guest carries a story we may never fully know. He once said, "I'm not here to judge, I'm here to listen, even when it's hard." Maybe that's why people trust him, because behind the bright lights and easy laughter, Graham's show was never just about celebrity. It was about people, flawed, fascinating, funny, frightened people, all sharing one thing in common: the wish to be understood. As the cameras fade and the red couch empties, what remains isn't scandal or awkwardness, it's empathy, the rarest, quietest thing in show business. And that, in the end, is what keeps the laughter alive.
Thank you for watching Silver Legends. If this story moved you, don't forget to hit like and share it with someone who remembers the golden days. Subscribe today and help us keep the silver screen legends alive.